been a while since I last did a PC build video on here, so today we are going to be putting together this absolute beauty of a build. Let's do this. As with any new PC build, once it's finished we will need to install Windows, and that's where the sponsor of today's video, SoftwareKeep, comes in. SoftwareKeep provides digital software products including Windows 10, Windows 11, Microsoft Office and antivirus software. And any software purchases are secured with a lifetime product guarantee, and they also offer 24/7 customer support 365 days a year. And if you're not completely satisfied with your purchase, they also offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. The website is linked down in the description if you want to check them out, but now, back to the main video. Before we can get started on the PC build itself, we need to get all of the parts together, and while this PC build is not sponsored, a big thank you to all of the brands featured in the build today for sending out the parts and making this video possible. It's going to be an absolutely epic build and I'm looking forward to putting it all together, so now we've got all the parts ready, let's take a look at the specs of this PC. The case we're going to be building in today is the Y60 from HYTE, and I've been looking forward to doing a build in this case for quite a while. It features a pre-installed PCIe 4.0 vertical GPU mount, support in the top for an up to 360mm radiator, support for up to 280mm on the side, and it also includes two pre-installed case fans in the bottom, and another located in the rear of the case. And for a case as beautiful as this one, we need some great looking parts to go inside. And we are definitely covered there with this extremely clean Gigabyte Aero Z790 motherboard, paired with the even cleaner Aero RTX 4070 Ti GPU, which are going to look great in this all white build. Gigabyte also kindly sent a 1000 watt power supply and a 1TB M.2 SSD. For the CPU, Intel have kindly sent out this i7-13700K, which is going to run extremely smoothly in the build. And to cool it, we have Lian's brand new GA2 Trinity SL-INF 360mm AIO, featuring 3 interchangeable pump designs, and Lian's SL-INF fans included too. And then we also have some more SL-INF fans to go in the rest of the case. Of course, we couldn't go without Lian's Strimmer Plus V2 cables, which as many of you know, I already run in my current PC build. We also then have a whopping 64GB of DDR5 7000MHz RAM from T-Force, and then finally a 2TB M.2 from them as well. So there you have all of the parts that are going to be going into this PC build, so I think it's about time that we got started. The first thing we need to do is put together the motherboard assembly, including installing the CPU, RAM, SSDs and cooler. Taking the motherboard out of the box, we can get a closer look at that beautiful, simple and clean design that you would come to expect from Gigabyte's Aero range. Now we need to take the i7-13700K CPU and install it into the motherboard. For a lot of people, installing the CPU is the most daunting part of a PC build, but as long as you're careful, make sure to line up the Aero and don't drop it into the socket or bend any pins. It's really not that difficult to do. With that in place, we can install the 4 sticks of DDR5 RAM, making sure to carefully line them up so we don't cause any damage to the slots on the motherboard or the sticks of RAM themselves. For this build, I'm going to be using 2 M.2 SSDs, so the first thing we need to do is unscrew the cover from the motherboard, then carefully sliding the 2 M.2 drives into the slots and securing them in place. And once they're in, we can screw the cover back onto the motherboard. And after a bit of peeling action, it's time to get the motherboard assembly installed into the case. A great thing about the HYTE Y60 case is how roomy it is to build in, so I'm just removing the back panel and a couple of the glass panels so I've got that space to work with. Now we can carefully place the motherboard assembly inside the case, and don't ask me why I didn't remove the rear fan before doing so, I have no idea. Now I can carefully slot in the GPU mount and screw the motherboard assembly securely into the case. With all that done, we can bring back in our cooler, and as I mentioned, this is Lian's brand new GA2 Trinity SL-INF 360 AIO, and this thing only released a couple of weeks ago. This is a successor to Lian's existing Galahad AIO with a bunch of upgrades and changes to both the aesthetics and features, so I'm very excited to get this installed and see what it's like. As it's a 360mm radiator, I'm going to be top mounting this, and HYTE have made it so much easier by including a removable bracket. All I need to do is unscrew the fans from the radiator itself, then place the bracket on top of the radiator and screw the fans back into place. Then we can simply drop the assembly back into the top of the case and it fits like a glove. Then we can simply secure the bracket back into place with the screws, pop the top back on, and we are all sorted. Another nice feature of this cooler is the adhesive strips included on the bracket, which are a nice way of helping keep the mount in place and making it easier to secure the pump onto the motherboard. You also get some included thermal paste, a little applicator tool, and an interesting looking plastic sheet, which is actually a very interesting new way that Lian have included, allowing you to apply the thermal paste to the back of the pump and then simply peel the plastic off and you're ready to go. So with all that sorted, we can line up the pump with the bracket and then carefully secure it over the CPU using the thumb screws included. And with the cooler now fully installed, the PC is really starting to take shape, so the next thing we need to do is install the case fans and the power supply. First, let's remove this pre-installed fan from the back of the Y60 case. And then we can replace it with this Lian SL-INF 120mm fan instead. And then for the side of the case, I'm also going to be using these two 140mm SL-INF fans as well. Now we can take the power supply and mount it onto this bracket in the back of the case and then screw it securely into place. Now they're all in, there's only one real thing that we need to install into the PC build. It's time to add in this beautiful Aero 4070 Ti. As mentioned earlier, this case does already come with a vertical mount included, so we can take advantage of the beautiful design of this graphics card by mounting it vertically without having to go out and buy any extra hardware. First, let's start by unscrewing and removing the slots from the back of the case. Now we can take the 4070 Ti and carefully lower it into the PCIe slot and securely screw it in. The last thing we need to do is install these Lian Strimmer Plus V2 cables to take that RGB to the next level, starting with the 24-pin motherboard cable, and then finally the 16-pin GPU cable. And there we go, all of the parts are now installed into the build and it is already looking absolutely magnificent. So now it's time for the final stressful test, powering on the PC and seeing if it will boot, and as you can see, we are looking very good. I have to say, I think this PC is one of the most beautiful that I've built and all of the pieces work so well together. And that new cooler from Lian is looking absolutely marvelous. But before I can sit back and admire the PC, there's one very important job left to do. And there we go, the new PC build is finally finished and I had an absolute blast putting this one together. It looks absolutely beautiful, and if I'm honest, I wasn't going to use this as my new main PC, but looking at it, it's kind of tempting. I have included a full list of the specs and links to where you can buy all of the parts down in the description below. And thank you guys ever so much for following along with the build journey, and if you liked the video, then please make sure to drop a like as it helps support the channel. And if this was your first time here, make sure to hit that sub button as well, as I have plenty more videos like this to come in the future. Thank you all so much for watching, I appreciate the support as always, and I will catch you guys in the next video. See you later. Yeah, it's good, I'm really liking that. So there we go, that is basically the almost finalized plans for the setup. It'll probably change again between now and then, but this is essentially what the setup is kind of going to look like once it's finished.